welcome back to the channel, Steve.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to be sat down on my arse and doing nothing.
I hope that's isotonic, Steve, with at least
yes,
20% protein.
Something like that, with a few carbs, yeah.
How are you feeling?
Feeling good. I mean, it's been, how many days now? Forget what day it is now. It's Friday, yeah, so it's been 4 days. So feeling good, yeah, just still a few little aches, and I've just took off the plasters off my blisters. It's mainly my little toes on both feet, the ball of my foot as well, got pretty bad. But yeah, apart from that, I'm fine, so I can hobble along, no problem.
Have you been back out running again yet?
I did have a little trot that on the Tuesday, because it was 105 miles, and I got to the 100 and I stopped. I was like, no. So I needed to do the 5 miles, and I knew that no one else, when I woke up in the morning, Tuesday morning, no one had still posted up on the leaderboard that they complete the whole distance. So I thought, right, I'll nip in there. I went out at around about 9 o'clock in the morning. Don't forget, I didn't go to bed till about 3:30 in the mornings.
So you were back up at 9 to start again?
I went out, but I basically had, I think, a 1 mile hobble.
Okay.
Literally, I hobbled along. And then I waited until the afternoon, till it was about 2 o'clock, when it had warmed up a little bit more, to it's about 40 degrees. And then what I did was I drove up to an area that is shaded. It's like a catchwater.
Okay.
So it's a road that's not really used, but it's in the shade. And basically it's 1 kilometre each way. So I thought, if I do a few of those, I think it was 6 or 7 of those, I would get the missing 4 miles. So I managed to basically, a bit of a jog, a bit of a hobble, and then I think it was the monkeys. Some monkeys came out of the trees and made me jump and made me run a little bit faster. But yeah, I got it done, and I was feeling okay in proper shoes rather than flip-flops. And yeah, but since then I've just walked back from work to her house. I've just relax, just take it easy, start eating and drinking properly, and just trying to catch up on sleep and get back to normal again.
Okay, for anyone who didn't see the first interview, the reason you were back out the next day was to complete the distance for the Lakeland virtual race. So
yeah,
the total distance was 105 miles in the end?
105 miles, yes. So it ended up being 105 miles or 169 kilometres.
Okay.
So that's same as the real course itself.
And in the end, were you the first person to finish the virtual challenge?
Yeah, I was the first person posted up there. Although I will give credit to 2 guys who did the distance, and there was a bit of lag for their Strava to upload. Paul Doyle and Paul Little from Leighton. They're part of a Leighton running group in their 50s, and I think they did it at the same time as me, around about 25, 26 hours altogether. And they were absolutely finished at the end. But I just wanted to highlight them, who were out there suffering at exactly the same time I was.
Very sporting of you, Steve, very sporting. So yesterday I asked on social media for some questions. So some of the questions were serious, some of them were not so serious. The first one from Steve Carr, he wanted to know, have you started the medication yet?
Yeah, I'm just starting it.
Very nice. And on a similar vein, Karenza Choi, she says, are you off your nut or what?
Yeah, my wife thinks the same thing as well.
She was very good with the updates, because the Garmin tracker went offline for a period of time. And
yeah, I noticed, and it did fail almost at the end as well. And luckily, my Jackie, she called me up and let me know, and I noticed my watch was virtually on the way out, dying at 1%. So I stopped it there and then started the Strava on my phone.
Okay.
So I didn't miss any. So I'm not quite sure what happened there, but yeah.
Okay, a more serious question from Steve Carr is, how did you manage the heat and humidity, and especially with your feet?
So I didn't pack much, I packed light. I just had 3 500ml flasks, because the way I planned the route, I knew there's plenty of hydration along on the route, like vending machines, so I can get water and isotonic drinks and things like that. And I started at midnight, and the main reason being is to get as much as I can done in night to avoid the direct sunlight.
Okay.
And then I planned the route to be in the shade as much as possible during the daylight hours. But at the end of the day, I couldn't really avoid that heat, even in the shade. So what did I do? Basically, I tried to not expose myself so much to the sun. I didn't do a John Ellis and run around half naked. I had arm sleeves on, I had a hat with the shade on and everything. Whatever I could to protect me from the sun and to not get that sunburn, which would make it even worse. A couple of times I did stop at streams, and
I did see a picture of you lying in one at one point.
Yes, I kept my shoe. If you notice, I kept my shoes out of it because I didn't want to start walking around with wet feet.
Okay.
But yeah, because I was absolutely soaked anyway from sweating. And there was another picture I showed of literally where I sat on the concrete for literally a few seconds, and I'd left a huge puddle wet there. I was literally, there was no rain at all, but I was just melting. So yeah, it's just basically making sure I was taking salt tablets, making sure I was keeping isotonics and fluid in me all the time. And wherever I could, every now and then along the trail, there's like, apart from the bit where you see me lying in the catch water, just taking in the water, cooling my core down, there were plenty of places where there's running water coming out of a pipe, and it's nice cool water, and then I'll just hold the water over my wrists or try and get my buff, soak it, and then put it on the back of my neck.
Do you know what the temperatures were on the day?
It was around about 33, but with the humidity, it probably felt in the 41, 42 degrees, something like that, because the air was heavy.
Okay. That's a challenge for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I know that running it gets hotter in other places, like I don't know, in the Mediterranean and places like that in the summer. But the humidity, the heat I can deal with. It's mainly the sweating and everything being absolutely wet. The other thing now, when it comes to my feet, this time round I only took one pair of shoes. In my drop bag, I didn't take any shoes, but I did have a spare pair of insoles, and I went through 4 pairs of socks. So I always carried 1 or 2 pairs of spare socks in a Ziploc bag in case my feet got too wet and I felt blisters coming along. And basically, if I needed to attend a blister, I could take my sock off, look to it, put a plaster on, and then put a dry sock on, because I know it's too fiddly putting a wet sock on. Also, at the halfway stage, when I got showered and changed, and I changed the insoles of my shoes, it was just good to put my feet into what felt like dry shoes in dry socks, and I just feel fresher, basically. So with my feet, that's how I did it.
And in the end, you had some problems with the feet towards the closing stages.
Yeah, it was at the closing stages. I think the socks I had reused, there's a pair of socks that I had that weren't so wet, which I put on. I'm not sure if that aggravated it or not, but my feet were definitely wet there. I couldn't get them dry. And in the last few K, it really was pretty painful. But I'm not sure if that was a mental thing, because actually I did give up right at the 100 mile there. So.
I don't think you can call it giving up when you arrived to 100 miles.
Yeah.
We'll just say you stopped.
So that was the main thing. I did start getting chafing in between the legs as well. Again, that came along only in the final few kilometres. The rest of the time, I was conscious to keep putting lubricant, Vaseline, or the Gurney Goo, or whatever I had at hand in my bag at the time. Didn't get any problems on my chest with chafing at all, which I was expecting. And under my arms, under my armpits, sometimes I get chafing, but this time I didn't. Okay. So not quite sure. It's always different. You know, I've done long distances before. I get absolutely no chafing whatsoever, and then sometimes I just do a short half marathon and I get chafing. So I guess
such is the way of things.
It depends. Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, next question. Again from Steve Carr. He wants to know, what is your next ridiculous idea? You've got a fine selection of drinks.
My next I haven't got one at the moment, but Nikki Han has told me about something. She won't let it out of the bag yet. Something happening around the end of August. And knowing Nikki, it's probably something mental. And she says it's something that's right up my street, but I have no idea. But at the moment, I'm just planning to just take it easy now for the rest of the summer. I want to enjoy a bit swimming in the sea, a bit of kayaking, and bring the mileage down a bit. I might do a few 50Ks as training.
Just the 50K.
Yeah. But yeah, I've got nothing planned at the moment. Nothing crazy anyway. I can't think of what. After 100 miler, what is next? You know, what is the next challenge after that? Yeah, that's like, going from a half marathon to a marathon, I guess. But yeah, 200 miles, nah, maybe 200K. But no, I've got nothing planned at the moment.
Not in the summer.
No.
Speaking of Nikki Han, she did write to say, how come Steve gets an interview and she doesn't?
Well, she's camera shy.
Exactly, Steve. That was the response. Okay, next up. This is a good question, actually. Something I wanted to know also from Elliot. And he wanted to know, what were your highest moments and your lowest moments during the challenge?
Well, Elliot talked a lot.
Because he joined you for some of the run, didn't he? He joined you a couple of times.
Yeah, he did join me. Yeah. No, the low points, let me think. It's definitely on the second night. I think it was when I got to from Stanley to Repulse Bay, which is the south of Hong Kong Island. So I'm in the back 40K, the last 40K. And John Ellis, who also ran with me, was telling me, don't look at your watch. You know, don't count it down. Just keep going. But I kept looking at my watch and making calculations and stuff. And then I was getting really tired. My eyes were dropping. My running partner, Marge Pritchard, she had to drag me out of the road because a couple of times I kept wandering into the road and she had to drag me back onto the pavement. But in Repulse Bay, where I sat down, and I didn't think I'd given up at one point, but it was just the pain. It's the aching, the tiredness. It's just my feet. And I had this coffee, basically. Elliot told me about drink 7-Eleven coffee, it will do you good, and which I did, and then I had a couple of bananas as well, and it really perked me up. But I think in Repulse Bay I was at my lowest point. I didn't get the hallucinations. I thought I did, because at one point there's three of us, we were walking along a catchwater, and I was very conscious of, it's a narrow path, and the catchwater, it's a concrete ditch that goes straight down about 2 meters down on the right hand side. But every now and then you're going over what's like a bridge, but there's no handrails or anything, and there's a sheer drop on the other side. So I had to keep waking myself up a little bit more to be conscious of not to drift left or right too much, because it is literally about 3/4 of a meter wide. But then this wild boar, we must have startled it, and it just came out and did this large snarl or something. But luckily it was that Marge that was behind me, Marge or Floxy. Yeah, I thought about it the next day, and I couldn't remember if it was real or not, whether it was a hallucination or not, I was told. But now the high points, and I try and concentrate more on those. There's obviously the running at night on my own, and I tend to listen to audiobooks a lot. And zoning out audiobooks and then seeing the sunrise. Basically, I'm out up what we call Pat Sin Leng, or the Eight Immortals. Just seeing the sun rise and the skies go from blue to purple to pink, which was amazing. And then the other high point was meeting my running partner Marge at the Star Ferry, Kowloon, because I just bombed down Nathan Road, got to the Star Ferry, and she came along with a towel that was full of ice.
Oh, and very nice.
Shots of espresso and a hummus and cheese bun and some little potatoes, boiled potatoes, so food. And then credit to her, she ended up going all the rest of the way. So she did 86K herself with me
Wow.
by my side. So, but she did arrange that. There's a place called Happy Valley, which was I think it was around about the 100-kilometer mark. We went into her apartment, and her husband and her daughter were there waiting, and they had all this food set up. They had towels, clean towels ready. So I went in the shower, got changed, came out, and then the best thing was, you've probably seen the picture where I'm just sat back, and they encouraged me to put my foot on the table, and I says, "Oh no, I can't do that, so disrespectful." So they says, "Oh, here," and they threw an Australian rugby towel on the table. So I said, "Oh, okay," and I put my foot
up, no problem.
foot on there, and then they put a fan on my feet as well to cool my feet off, and I was just there. And one of my favourite food during these long distance ultras, Marge makes up this carrot and coconut soup, cold soup or something. It's just absolutely amazing. It really reaches the part. So I was just grabbing that handful of crisps, potatoes, getting what I could inside me, but then also being aware that I didn't really want to spend too much time rested up.
How long were you stopped for?
Going again. I think it was not much more than an hour. Really, because I was actually feeling good. My legs didn't feel really that tired, and I didn't really have the stiffness. If there was a bit of stiffness, usually I start moving a bit and it goes, and then I'm fine. So I was feeling good when I left Happy Valley after that pit stop, and being in fresh clothes and having fresh socks on and everything. So yeah, that was a good point. Obviously, the other high point is when a French lady called Flox came along and joined me for 50 kilometres. And then Elliot was a surprise because he didn't even tell me that he was coming. He popped out of nowhere. He just ran in front of us and started taking pictures. It was like, whoa, there he is. And then John Ellis came along with, I called it the shaken, not stirred Lucasade.
Oh, very nice.
As you can imagine, he ran up with just nothing but a belt on with 2 bottles of Lucasade in his hand. And when I opened it, it just went everywhere, So yeah, so it's good to have those people tag along and chat and keep company. And the thing is, a lot of time I like it when they chat amongst themselves, because when I get really tired in these sort of things, I'm not a big talker. I just want to, get it done. I'm just focused. I just want to get it done. Yeah, I would say that would be the high points. And then obviously, probably the highest point is when my wife turned up at the Central Ferry Pier in the car to take me home. And just to see her, basically. Yeah, at 2:00 in the morning. That was it. I mean, there's a few good things happened along. It was interesting. Was a bit of like an adventure. Be on your own at first. I do love running the first bit where it's nice and flat, and you've got all those vending machines to help you go along, and I could just zone out. And then I was hoping to take pictures of certain wildlife, because I knew I was going past an area called Monkey Hill, which is just infested with monkeys. And obviously I had a bit of food on me and stuff, so usually they chase you if you got food, and this time I didn't see any. Usually this place is infested, there's like hundreds of them, and this time I go there wasn't any at all. So nice. People kept spotting wildlife, like Elliot saw a squirrel, I didn't see it. There's a wild boar in the bushes, I didn't see it. There's a couple of snakes, I didn't see it. I think the only bit of wildlife I saw was a fish that bit my hand when I was lying in that catchwater.
Really?
Yeah, there's a little fish in there. One bit my finger. So.
Very nice to have that company for practically the second half. You had company.
I mean, they were great. They didn't carry my bags, so I carried my own bags. So there's no muling, and there was, I did wish there was a bit of towing sometimes. With the tow rope.
Nice.
There's none of that. Yeah, it would have been nice. I did suggest it a few times, but no, we didn't have any of it. The interesting thing was I thought the climbs, after such a long day and in the heat, the climbs would have been difficult, like the staircases. And as you know, Hong Kong's very famous for its staircases. Yeah. But they actually weren't too bad. I think I just kept a steady motion going forward. Descending, I was actually not bad at all. Yeah. I've had a few problems with my knees in the past, but no, this time I remember one set of steps. I had John Ellis behind me. So,
always a good sign, Steve.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, I didn't really have a problem with that, but obviously I did get into the death march mode. I could feel it in my feet in the last 50k. I just death marched it, but I kept it a good march at around about 6k an hour, something like that. So every hour I was clocking on 6k. So it's quite a brisk walk. I mean, the ladies behind me would every now and then would have to jog to keep up.
Okay.
With me. But I can basically keep that consistent for a long time.
And how do you manage that mentally when you get to that stage? Like you touched on earlier about looking at the watch, and it's very good advice from John, but also it's one of these things when someone tells you don't look at the watch, automatically you want to look at the watch. So how do you manage that mentally when everything, you're not moving as fast as you would like, and the finish still seems a long way off at that stage?
I mean, I have to put other things into my mind, and one of the key things I kept thinking about when I went to a low point is I have to remember back to the presentation of Lakeland 100 last year, and at the end of the race they have a big ceremony at the end at 12 o'clock on the Sunday, and everyone goes in this village hall. And they make a big PowerPoint presentation, and they give awards to each class of people. So you got the V40, the V50, the V60. They had one guy who was 71 years old who'd only just finished the 100 miler, and he came in to get his trophy for being he was the only 70-year-old that did the 100. But to think, now he's like 70 years old and he's gone through 2 nights and he's managed to do that 100 mile, even though he was walking like a penguin. He was chafing badly, but for me it was very inspiring, basically, to see someone like that, just the determination and just to get the job done. And I thought, if he can do it, then there's no excuse for why I can't do it, basically. And things like that I had to put into my mind to encourage myself and to keep me going.
And is that something you plan in advance, Steve? You plan ahead to think, okay, when things get low, I'm going to use this image.
No, I did plan that. Yeah, those sort of things kind of stick in my mind, and that was something when I saw it for the first time last year, and I thought, right, when I do the 100 next year, I'm going to keep this in mind and hang on to that thought and think, if he can do it, I can do it. I've got no excuse unless I break a leg or something like that. But as you know, a lot of these things with these distances, it's more mental than anything, and just not to give up, really.
It's a good strategy to have in mind before. Something that always interests me with, especially, well, races also, but especially these kind of challenges, is how you thought it would be before the event and how that compared to the reality of it.
I don't know, but you might want to edit this little section out. Just repeat the question.
Because for me, certainly, I mean, previously when I've done, not in a race environment, but if it's been a particular challenge, I look at it and I can think of one example where I went out to do my race, Ultra Trail Scotland. The first year, so that I had a GPS file which I knew was 100% accurate, I decided to go out and run the route myself. It's based on an island, and I had the idea to go to the island, run the route overnight, take the last ferry over, run the route all night, and come back on the first ferry in the morning. And before I went, you have this magical image of the sun going down and running all night and coming back in the morning, but the reality is you're 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning up to your waist in a bog thinking, what the hell am I doing here? So it's that kind of thing.
I didn't really, on this one, I didn't have those sorts of thoughts really that much. I remember when I did the 50 miler last year, and there was a point because of the weather. There's a different extreme where it's just monsoon weather, and I was up to my knees in the bog, and I was thinking, what the hell am I doing here? I ain't doing this again, never. And the first thing I said to my wife, I said it at Ambleside checkpoint, and then I said to Jackie again later on, I said, there's no way I'm doing this again. And you know what? She just turned around, she goes, yeah, you say that every time. give you 24 hours and you'll be signing up for the next one. And that was right, you know. So
right.
It's amazing. We do put ourselves through that pain and that, I wouldn't say agony, but pain and frustration and those low points. But obviously we get something out of it because it makes us want to do it all over again. So
exactly, and it's the low points that we speak about more than the high points.
Yeah. So I mean, but on this journey, I don't think I had more higher points than low points. So I don't think I had very, very low points where I just wanted to quit. That didn't come into my mind at all. I just knew I wanted to get it in the bag. And that was it. I kind of wish I got the 105 rather than the 100, but I just knew basically it wasn't going to happen at that time. The way my feet were, the way my socks were, and I just couldn't do that extra 5. Because at the end of the day, 5 miles, even at a death march, you're still talking like another hour and a half, basically, on your feet.
When you've been on your feet for that length of time, an hour and a half it's a challenge.
Yeah.
It might as well be another 12 hours.
I wouldn't do it again in the Hong Kong heat. Someone mentioned bad water. I don't think that would be very appealing to me. It's something that's under direct sunlight no, it's not. I'm glad I've done it. Or would I change anything? Maybe a few little tweaks here and there, especially with the kit. You know, maybe a bit more protection for my toes against the blistering. I should have think of my nutrition. I should have concentrated on a bit more. I remember Elliot telling me, you're not eating enough, and I was saying I'm fine, which is generally what I do. Marge at Repulse Bay was forcing potatoes down me.
Okay.
Making me eat them. Yeah, so I was like, no, I don't want them. And she goes, eat. Yeah, so there will be a few tweaks. Love to do 100 miler again, but say the next time hopefully will be in the Lake District, in the hills, in much cooler temperatures.
Exactly. So next year you must take a lot of confidence from that going into the event for next year.
Yeah. And also the way this virtual event's been set up, how Mark Laithwaite set it up, where he does a TV broadcast every night at 8 o'clock UK time every day, and they share photographs and they talk about how people are doing and stories and other things about the race. And then you see other people where they're sharing photographs. We've got people that are doing it. There's one in New Zealand, there's one in Bermuda. So there's people all over the world that are doing this, and it just seems a great atmosphere. And I had a little couple of messages with Paul Doyle and Paul Little, who were doing the 100 miler at the same time as me, and I says, you know, it sounds like you both went in through a lot of pain through the night and stuff. I said, we've got to have a few beers in that marquee in Coniston afterwards and reminisce over the things that we did.
No, it'd be very nice. But did you meet these guys at the event previously, or only through this virtual one?
Only through this virtual one. I don't know, obviously, because I'm not based in the UK, so and most of the runners there are from the UK, so I don't personally know any of them apart from through Facebook. But you can tell from the atmosphere and the friendliness. There's people that go there year in, year out to do it. They either do the 50 or the 100, but it really is like a family. And as I was saying, out of all the races I've done, this is the one I think I probably hold closest to my heart, basically, just from the way it's done and the way it's so welcoming and people come out and do things. I mean, for example, on the Lakeland 50 at the very last checkpoint, they have something there called Jacob's Ladder. And I remember hearing all the people talk about it on Facebook, and I think, it's a big set of steps. This should be a problem. We got those things in Hong Kong, you know. I got there late at night and it was raining, and then I could see the steps behind the checkpoint tent, and I saw the lights where they had going up, and I thought, okay, but I'll just sit down. And they were really helpful. They took the bag off me, gave me a drink. One woman came from outside and gave me this cheese toasty she did over an open fire. It was
very nice.
Absolutely lovely. But then I looked around the other faces of the other people that were sat there, the other racers, and they just look broken. And it's just the fact that everyone's talking about Jacob's ladder and this climb up, and people just saying, look, it's only another 5 miles to go, 5 miles, and you're in constant at the end, and like, oh, I can't do any more, 5 miles, and they look broken. But the whole thing with Jacob's ladder is it's a set of steps, and they used to have a charity bucket there, and it's named after a kid called Jacob, and I think he died in the end from leukemia or something like that. So now to this day, everyone puts money in before they go up, so it's like a toll. And the money goes to charity, to Jacob's charity. So anyway, I stopped climbing up the steps. It's only about 15 steps. That was it. I've never been so disappointed. There's all this build-up as if it was this nightmare sort of thing, and it's like, because the rest of it afterwards, it's okay. You're doing a lot of up afterwards, but it's on trail. It's not like the concrete steps that you get in Hong Kong. It's literally 12 or a couple of dozen steps. It wasn't that much at all, because I got to the top and I thought, oh, is that it?
You felt
isn't there
cheated.
any more? But anyway, yeah, I wanted more pain. But the only thing I've got planned to do now left from Lakeland, Mark the RD has said it would be nice if we've got every single participant to take a photo of them going up some steps on Sunday and wearing something green. I'm not quite sure what the green bit entails, but yeah, that's the only thing. There's a big mountain nearby where I am in the country park, and it's a 400 meter climb. I think it's about 300 or 400 meter climb of steps. So I'm just going to go up there slowly and just take a couple of pictures there. So, but as I said, it's a great gig. It's a great setup. And this is a big race where, like I said, they don't have UTMB points and there's no ITRA rankings either. But it draws people every single year.
Yeah, that's a topic for another day.
Yes. So,
So you've got the wine, you've got the beer, you've got some spirits. What time of day is it there now, Steve?
It's 20 to 8 at night. It's Friday night.
Okay, you'll be in your bed by 9:30.
9-10 o'clock.
Okay, Steve, well, it's been fantastic catching up with you. It's been brilliant following this story all along. And next year we'll catch up again for the Lakeland before and after.
Yes, fingers crossed it all gets better and the racing calendar gets back up and running again.
Hopefully, Steve, hopefully. Thanks a million.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Casey. Cheers.
Cheers, Steve, that was brilliant.